All eyes are on New York City for SABC News' Full View live broadcast in partnership with Aspen Pharmacare tonight. Two of our team members are award recipients in the Most Influential People of African Descent Recognition and Awards Ceremony, MIPAD in short. It's going to be held in just a few hours. This prestigious event follows the opening of the 77th United Nations General Assembly. MIPAD honors outstanding personalities and high achievers of African descent from around the world during the annual Recognition Weekend 2022 for their positive contribution to humanity. Before we cross to our correspondent, let's hear the MIPAD story.
We, the people of African descent, are high achievers and exist in high positions, making positive contributions. And we are all over the world, sometimes in unexpected places. African-American, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latina, Afro-European, Continental African, Afro-Emirati, Afro-Iranian, Afro-Pakistani, Afro-Japanese, and much more. We are united by our shared experiences, from Atlanta to Addis Ababa, from Zurich to Zaria, and against all odds, we are excelling for the glory of our people and our continent. This is a moment in the movement to unify all people of African descent from all over the world for the glory of Africa.
MIPAD is a pretty interesting initiative. What I particularly like about it is the fact that it's bringing people together of African descent. It's always difficult to put this sort of programs together, so it's a good thing that the organizers of this program have done this, and it's the beginning of great things to come, connecting people of African descent. I think there's only but good things that will come out of it. I think that in terms of just my goodwill message for the organizers, they should keep at what they're doing. It's never easy. This is just the first edition, and I know it's only going to get better.
The United Nations declared the International Decade for People of African Descent to be observed from the years 2015 to 2024, based on three pillars: recognition, justice, and development.
Our Sherwin Bryce Pease is standing by. Sherwin, good evening, good afternoon your time. An auspicious evening lies ahead. Tell us more.
Well, Iman, thanks very much indeed, and welcome to our location here at the Millennium Hilton Hotel, a short walk across the road from the United Nations. And a little context for you here: the United Nations General Assembly in 2013 passing a resolution declaring the International Decade for People of African Descent to be observed between 2015 and 2024. And it's in support of this initiative that MIPAD, the Most Influential People of African Descent, and its global top 100 seeks to identify high achievers of African descent in both the public and private sectors from all around the world as a progressive network of relevant actors to join together in what they call the spirit of recognition, justice and development of Africa, its people on the continent and its diaspora. Camille Olufowobi is the founder and CEO of MIPAD. Camille, good to see you and congratulations on this wonderful event.
Thank you, Sherwin, for having me on the show. It is truly an honor to be with you and to be here today on this historic day.
Let's talk a bit about the history behind this, right? This is very much an initiative in support of the work of the United Nations, and your theme this year is celebrating 5 years of telling global black stories of excellence, authenticity, and passion. Tell us a little bit about your journey. This is the 5th iteration. How did we get here, and what's the vision?
Thank you again for this moment, and this is a moment in the movement for us to recognize the positive contributions of people of African descent all over the world, sometimes in unexpected places. And we've honored people from Argentina to Zimbabwe, over 80 different countries over the last 5 years. And tonight, what we get to do is to showcase 5 of those stories that has inspired us over the years. Stories of 5 governments, 5 organizations, and 5 individuals that we've recognized over the years.
Talk about this word recognition, right? You don't want to focus too much on this, calling it an award. You talk about it in recognition. Why is that an important distinction to make?
Very good. You see, it is not an award show. It is a recognition platform, because the first pillar of the International Decade, as declared by the UN General Assembly, is recognition. So we are recognizing the positive contributions of people of African descent. So for us, that's a clear distinction. So you don't necessarily have to be here at the United Nations for this recognition, but we are from afar, from right here in New York at the UN headquarters, and just across the street, we are recognizing your positive contributions around the world.
So let's talk about the SABC's positive contribution, South Africa's positive contribution. Talk about the recognition that those two entities, South Africa and the SABC, will get tonight.
Absolutely. We're very excited to be recognizing the positive contributions of SABC in the broadcasting world. And you get the privilege tonight to tell the story of South Africa to the world. As I mentioned earlier, there were 5 governments that we're going to be recognizing tonight. The city of New York is one of them, where we host this recognition every year. The mayor of New York will be here accepting his award. Also, SABC will be here accepting your award for your positive contributions in the Hall of Fame category, and also in the 100 under 40 category for one of your young talents at your corporation. So,
yeah, Bongi Wezwane, we'll be talking to her in a little bit.
That's right.
I mean, talk about the breadth here, right? You're talking about 5 governments, 5 organizations, 5 individuals around the world. African diaspora is everywhere. How do you process such a global event and bring it to its fruition tonight?
Absolutely. One of the greatest joy of doing this work is discovering where we exist all over the world, sometimes in unexpected places. It is okay for us to be dispersed around the world, but what we discovered, it's not okay for us to be disconnected. So this is where MIPAD steps in, where we've created this ecosystem, not an ecosystem, of some of the best and the brightest around the world, and creating this connection. Right, so we get to know each other. Right, from Costa Rica to Zimbabwe, in the diaspora, Brazil. Brazil, I always say, has the largest population of people of African descent outside of Africa. Right, many people do not know this fact. So it has been a privilege and an honor to bring together some of the best and the brightest all over the world and recognize them as part of this international decade for people of African descent.
Final question for you, right? This is your 5th anniversary, COVID happening slap bang in the middle of that. What has that done to your momentum, and how are you seeking to reinvigorate in the years ahead?
Absolutely. COVID, you know, for what it's worth, it actually had a positive impact on this because we were able to go virtually. Not all our honorees could make it to New York in the past years, but during COVID, because we were virtual, we had everyone around the world being able to join. And in the future, what I hope as we round up the international decade is to be able to get all our honorees to be here in this moment in New York, or our global gatherings inside Africa.
Camille, congratulations, and thanks for taking time to stop by and talk to us.
Absolutely.
We're going to switch guests out, so I'm going to release you. Camille Olufowobi is the founder and CEO of MIPAD, and we're doing a set change here, in fact, just an individual change. We are now joined by Dr. Motumisi Tawana, South Africa's Consul General here in New York. Consul General, come a step closer to me, turn your body this way. Talk about the value of a recognition for South Africa and South Africa's public broadcaster that MIPAD will be attributing to them later this evening.
Thank you, Sharon, for inviting me. This is quite an exciting moment. It's exhilarating to learn that South Africa is being recognized in this manner, and South African broadcasters are going to be recognized, and it's very exciting, and it shows that South African standards are high. The South African broadcaster is world class, and South African broadcaster is a cut above the rest and on par with the rest of the world, and people of African descent are equally excited all over the world to see South Africa being recognized, and as a country also that hosted the Durban conference way back. So this is quite an exciting moment, and it shows that South Africa's efforts to support people of African descent are also recognized by MIPAD through this recognition.
Let's be clear, SABC loves hearing that it's world-class, Consul General. Part of your mandate, of course, is to promote interests, South African interests in particular, and to foster good relations in the consulate's area of jurisdiction. How are you getting on with that?
We are doing as much as we can with limited resources, covering 15 states on the eastern seaboard of the U.S.
Yeah, it's a massive area. It's not just New York, right?
Exactly. It's like 15 other countries are around where we are. But we do our best through outreach, through virtual engagements, through ensuring that we have our spokespersons, so to speak, our honorary consuls being appointed. We recently got one appointed for Delaware and Pennsylvania, Mr. John Fry, president of Drexel University. So through those engagements, appointing honorary consuls, reaching out to the states, going to Connecticut, going to the Carolinas, and so on, and identifying the right people to help expand our reach and mandate. We are doing as much as we can. Even virtual engagements have been of great help, reaching out to universities, individuals, the corporates, and so on. So we've done everything we can under a very trying circumstances to put South Africa on the map.
Let's talk a little bit about the South African Cultural Centre that was recently opened within, I mean, not that recently, right? It's been there a while now within the consulate, yes. Which seeks to elevate South Africans and their work in this region. This is a real conduit for South Africans that want to showcase and bring their expertise this way.
Exactly. Well, the Cultural Centre was launched last year, September, on the 23rd of September.
With the Zeiksendar exhibition, right? Yes, that was the opening.
Washboards and Mirrors, an exhibition that even won us a Gold Telly Award. Out of 12,000 entries, it won a Gold Telly, that Washboards and Mirrors exhibition. So the Cultural Centre seeks to foster cross-cultural collaboration to elevate South African artists across the board, and also to recognize other cultures, other peoples, including people of African descent. We currently also have an exhibition celebrating people of New York. Largely people of African descent are being celebrated. So South Africa's story is being told through the Cultural Centre, which is the first ever cultural centre in the world, and it just got incorporated in June to operate as a Section 501c3 as a non-profit.
Final question for you. Your focus, of course, we can talk about arts and culture and all that kind of, that part of your mandate, but your mandate centrally is an economic one. And of course, South Africa is, in terms of the growth trajectory, you play a very vital role in terms of bringing foreign direct investment and that sort of trade and investment, that sort of thing. How's that going? What's the atmosphere like here?
Well, COVID has not made things easy.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it hasn't, but we're doing as much as we can to punch above our weight to ensure that the South African economy and two-way trade between the US and South Africa does not go down. So on average, two-way trade has been around $20 billion per annum, and we're doing our best to ensure that it keeps growing and that the surplus continues to be in South Africa's favor. So we're doing everything we can to ensure that we make a difference in the people's lives back home, that the surplus remains, and that two-way trade continues to grow, jobs are created, and we fight poverty, crime, and put South Africa on the map.
Dr. Motimusi Tawana, great South African colours in that tie. Thanks very much for coming to speak with us. Dr. Motimusi Tawana is, of course, South Africa's Consul General to New York, coming here essentially to validate the award and recognition that the SABC and South Africa will be getting at MIPAD, the most influential people of African descent, and its Global Top 100. We'll be talking to some of the award winners right after this. It's back in a moment.